This video contains unsettling content and violent content. Viewer discretion advised.
Cakes and candies, salads and burgers, curries and soups. As a life giver in the real world, food naturally acts the same in video games, with additional bonuses on top of replenishing health, such as status changes and ability modifiers.
Although we cannot taste them, and we really wish we could, most foods look incredibly tasty and well made, almost real in some cases. Just to be clear, we won't be including iconic foods as collectibles, such as Wampa fruit from Crash Bandicoot or bananas from Donkey Kong, but consumables that play an important role in gameplay.
Don't be surprised if you start craving any one of the magical, marvellous, and glorious top 30 food in games.
Charlie Murder. The party never stops, even in the midst of a zombie apocalypse. And, as usual, food plays a vital role in keeping you not just alive, but fighting back. In Charlie Murder, you can brew your own alcohol that provides a stat boost for the player character, which is really worth it provided you mix the right cocktail. That may not be enough to get you through the battle, however. So, it's always important to stock up on foods like burgers, coffee, tea, and candy so that you can stick around just that little bit longer. This beastly burger wants to chomp at your meat. And, let's be honest here, it probably won't put you off your burgers.
Terraria. Food and drinks in Terraria are craftable items that give you one of two buffs to your stats. Food gives you a well-fed buff that adds bonuses to defense, critical hit, melee speed, damage, minion knockback, and movement speed. The effects last from 10 to 35 minutes, and there are no debuffs that go along with the perk. Drinks include ale and sake. Both are alcoholic drinks and give you the tipsy effect, which acts as both a buff and debuff, as most alcohol usually does. A huge variety of foods are available to the player, including pad thai, cooked marshmallow, gingerbread men, cooked fish, grub soup, pumpkin pie, bacon, Christmas pudding, cooked shrimp, and pho. Some foods have to be purchased from merchants, but many can be crafted in cooking cauldrons. Bacon is a special food that can only be obtained by killing a pigren, which is a giant flying pig. Honestly, as I'm sure everyone knows, this is the most logical way to obtain bacon from anything, and perhaps one of the less cruel methods, as the supplier is a giant purple pig monster. River City Ransom. Crossing from one side of a gang-infested River City is incredibly dangerous, and with Alex and Ryan taking on all opposition to rescue Cindy from certain peril, they'll need all the help they can get. Power-ups, weapons, and other items may provide some advantage, but food is key to winning the day, and believe me, there is no shortage of that in town. There are 12 food stores on your path that will sell various types of food at prices ranging from dirt cheap to ruddy expensive. Luckily, your fallen enemies always drop a small amount of coin for you to spend on sushi, cakes, fries, soups, Chinese food, burgers, pies, chili, fish, milk, juice, tea, ice cream, waffles, candy, pizza, shakes, meats, and salads. That's a lot for just a couple of guys, and although you can't see any of this food, just the thought alone is enough to make your mouth water.
Stardew Valley. While difficult to find the time for cooking amongst the many other things to do in Stardew Valley, such as crop planting, watering, mining, fighting monsters, expanding your town, and romancing almost everyone you can find, all at the same time, it will be worth the effort. If you do happen to pick it up, cooking can provide a plethora of benefits. Recipes can be obtained from friends, bought from a Stardrop saloon, and learnt from the regular cooking show, the Queen of Sauce. Most foods will increase your stamina and health, which is absolutely vital for any adventuring you plan on doing in the mines or in the Skull Cavern. Any dishes you want to cook require ingredients, which can be obtained by foraging, purchasing, fishing, monster hunting, or farming. Most uncooked foods don't provide a large boost to stats, and some may even be harmful, such as red mushrooms. However, once they're cooked, you can gain effective health and energy benefits from food. Some choice recipes include fruit salad, blackberry cobbler, fiddlehead risotto, maple bars, and autumn's bounty. One particularly practical recipe is sashimi, which everyone likes in town at least. Perfect for courting as many people as possible. Postal 2. A game as controversial as Postal 2 obviously carries that same spirit in everything, including food. Around town you'll find various edible items, provided they haven't been pissed on. Donuts are the most basic of which, appearing as regular chocolate, elongated and cream-filled, and these tasty treats may be used to lure police officers away from their posts. Nuka Aqua Water is also available, an obvious reference to the Fallout franchise's own Nuka-Cola. Vodka can also be drunk, but overuse will result in withdrawals that can only be replaced with, you guessed it, more vodka. A little bit of the hair of the dog that bit you. But the best consumable is, of course, the coronary burger that pokes fun at the unhealthy lifestyle of many in the Western world and the corruption of the fast food industry as a whole. Maybe the postal dude didn't meet his end with the business end of a barrel, but by biting this burger instead.
This can't be good for me, but I feel great. I need to take a piss. I better get out of here.
Starbound. As with most survival-based sandbox games, food is an essential element in Starbound, and helps to maintain your health in the game, refill your hunger meter, and to give a variety of status effects. Farming and hunting are the two main ways to acquire food, but certain foods can also be purchased from merchants in the galaxy. Farming involves the planting of crop seeds and their eventual harvesting, and hunting is a matter of being able to take on the right beasts at the right time and collect their drops. Meat from hunting can be cooked at the campfire, and includes bacon, fish, poultry, steak, and tentacle, which is reserved for the brave among us. Farming yields a multitude of foods, including bananas, beak seeds, auto tomatoes, neon melon, wortweed, and puss plum. Vendors and vending machines offer items that the player can purchase, including apples, canned food, Rocky lemonade, and Reef Cola. However, all food must be consumed before it begins to rot, which will start to happen from when it is collected. When a kitchen counter is created, the player can also create recipes that utilize the harvested ingredients. Some of the dishes are Apex Fritters, Coral Creep Curry, Fish Pie, and Reef Pod Surprise. No matter how you collect your food, it should be enough to sustain you on your journey through the stars.
Duke Nukem forever. Even the Duke's gotta eat food. The good thing is, there's no shortage of nibblies in Vegas, even in the midst of an alien invasion. There are several vending machines serving sodas such as Tanked Herbal Energy Drink, Crack Cola, Frappa, and Chubb's Cola. And snacks such as Duke Burger, Hot Fries, WTF is this, Debbie Does Donuts, Sugar Boogers, and Hot Chihuahuas. Apart from that, you can down a beer to numb the pain and dish it out on all the alien swine that stands between you and all the fine babes. You can also microwave popcorn and eat it for health in the staff room. One of these is required for a mission later on into the game. Donuts are also found on a plate at the beginning, and if you find enough food, you earn yourself an achievement and/or trophy, noms.
RuneScape. Cooking is one of the 17 free-to-play skills you can level up in RuneScape and one of the 15 free-to-play skills in the old school version. There are a number of different options, including cooked meat, bread, cavefish, garden pie, and egg potato. As you get a higher cooking level, the smaller the chance of burning food is. Cooking goes hand in hand with the fishing skill, and they are typically leveled with each other. Other than fish, you can also slay animals to get meat, and you can also make flour to bake into bread. For the most part, food is used to heal you when you're in combat. The higher level the food is, the more it will heal you. Pies are also available, and most will give you buffs on your skills like agility, ranged, and fishing. There is also a mud pie, which is a gag item that you can throw at enemies. It doesn't do any damage, or even give you that much experience, but it is undoubtedly hilarious to go up to Count Dracula and just throw a pie in his face.
Fable. Albion is a world that is brimming with options for your dinner, and honestly, which good fantasy game is complete without an absolute smorgasbord of food? There's many period appropriate foods in Fable, with all of them notably comfortable in a medieval world, with meat, fish, vegetables, fruit, drinks and pies, including blueberry and apple. There's plenty to choose from. Some of the produce in the Fable games also give out differing forms of experience points. Meat pies, for instance, will give you a boost to strength, whereas fish will boost your will. Some foods will also affect your karma, such as tofu, which gives you a purity boost, whereas crunchy chicks will increase your corruption. Produce in Albion also has an impact on your character's weight, with most food giving you weight gain, but some decreasing it, such as fish and celery, with all the options you could ever want for basic meals, and some with special benefits. Fable goes whole ham in the food mechanics department, if you'll pardon the pun. So what have we learned from all this? Eat more tofu and less crunchy chicks. Your character will thank you, and so will their body and purity.
Stranded Deep. When stranded on a series of islands after a horrific plane crash, two things are important for survival: shelter and food, and there are many varied sources to be found in Stranded Deep. Most of the menu comes from fishing, where a multitude of species from cod to sharks can be harvested, although hopefully the latter isn't encountered alive. On land, harvesting coconuts, potatoes, fruit, crabs, and snakes will become a priority. You can break coconuts for drinking purposes and cook both fish and snakes into edible forms. If you're lucky though, you may find cans of beans lying around from the wreckage that you can open with a makeshift knife. Lucky you. Now all that needs to be done is to figure out a way off this island. Better get good at finding food though, cause it'll take a while.
Minecraft. Food is essential to survival in Minecraft. The function has changed drastically over the years with all the different patches released. In previous versions of the game, food was used to heal the player, but in recent versions, it is used to replenish the hunger bar. This bar, when full, will regenerate health and, when empty, will make you starve and reduce your health. Hunger goes down over time and will drop exponentially if you do a lot of running. Two kinds of food can be found in Minecraft: crops and meat. Crops can be grown in tilled land beside or directly above water, and meat can be obtained by killing animals that drop them. Cooked meat will fill up your food meter far more than uncooked meat, and in the case of raw chicken, it will give you food poisoning. Food poisoning is also caused by pufferfish and rotten flesh. The most enjoyable part of the food mechanic in Minecraft is the ability to make your own meals. Certain foods, like cookies, cakes, and golden apples, can be crafted with a variety of ingredients. Whether you choose to create a big cow farm, where you breed and then mercilessly slaughter the animals, or choose the vegetarian route and grow fields and fields of potatoes, carrots, and wheat. If you harness the power of redstone, you can even make your own automatic farm that harvests itself. It's really amazing what the players of Minecraft have invented and shared across the internet, and goes to show just how truly creative the community is.
Unturned. Although it may not appear appetizing, food in Unturned is more varied and useful as you'll find in any other survival game, and when dealing with evil zombie hordes with your friends. You'll need all the help you can get. Fruits, vegetables, canned goods, candies, chocolate, water, milk, juice, soda chips, energy bars, meat, soup, pasta, fish, eggs, cheese, pies, you name it, they got it in this game. But don't get too excited. While most of the added effects will be beneficial, such as replenishing hunger and health, or hunger and stamina, several types of berries will give you hallucinations. But where Unturned stands out is in its crafting of finer delicacies with a campfire. Cook and combine ingredients to make them an even more nourishing version of what they once were. Cook your meats into a true feast, or make sandwiches by combining a couple slices of bread, lettuce, tomato, and bacon. Bake a cake or some pie with milk, eggs and wheat, or pumpkin, even berries. There's a lot of room for improvisation and creativity. Might as well spend your last days on Earth making fantastic food before you wind up on the menu.
Goat Simulator, Goat Z Edition. Random destruction takes a lot of energy for even the strongest among gaming giants. But even mischievous goats need a recharge. The protagonist of Goat Simulator finds itself in a particular predicament when the zombie virus breaks out and food becomes a necessity. You'll have to lick your way through town and eat as much food as you can lay your cloven hooves on. Nothing too special, just celery, pumpkins, various breads, sugar straight from the packet, soda, chips, chocolate, sausages, and zombie brains fresh from the skull of the fallen undead. You can also find fruit from large melons to little lemons. Don't forget to browse the Apple store in the mall for a treat too, and keep an eye out for the odd whole turkey to feast on. Find 50 edible items and you'll earn yourself a reward. But should you starve, at least death won't be the end for you.
The Sims 3. When you get the opportunity to control every facet of your character's lives, it's inevitable that food will factor into the equation somewhere. The Sims 3 provides so many possibilities for food that it's almost beyond belief. While it takes time and energy for the cooking skill to be boosted, whether that be through reading cookbooks, watching cooking shows, or just having conversations about food, once your Sims get going in the kitchen, it's hard not to have a little bit of food envy. With everything from ceviche, waffles, and sushi, to key lime pie, cheesesteaks, and fruit parfaits, there's an awful lot of options for your budding master chefs to cook. Even if you're a tree hugger or a veggie sim, worry not, there's plenty of choices for them as well, with most meals having a vegetarian or organic alternative. Some extra special recommendations include old favorites like McGoopy Carbonara, and some new faces like autumn salad and vegetarian chili. Also, you can organize brunch on weekends. There's nothing better in life than a good brunch.
Rule of Rose. Where in most games, especially survival horror, the player's focus is spent on keeping their character alive, Rule of Rose strays from that formula. The protagonists, Jennifer and Brown, must both be kept alive and healthy to make progression easier. The catch? Jennifer is a human woman, Brown is a Labrador retriever. Both require separate types of food to replenish their energy. For Jennifer, she can partake in some delicious chocolate, both dark and white, lollipops, shortbread, scones, biscuits, candy, and minced pie. Brown's diet consists of bones of various sizes, dog food, chicken drumsticks, beef jerky, and bacon. You'll want to keep a fair inventory of those items in case you run into any trouble. And luckily for you, Brown's nose can help sniff out these consumables, so keep it around, or you might just wind up the dog's dinner. Sleeping dogs. Hong Kong is a busy city with lots of gangs looking to turn you into mincemeat. Luckily, there are some legitimate stalls and shops that serve delicious and nourishing food for the picking and, well, in China. There's some great stuff to gorge on like curry fish balls, chicken skewers, yummy pork buns, duck, squid, egg waffles, noodles, and ice cream. Then, it's nice to wash it down with herbal tea and Dragon Kick energy drink. These all play a part in helping Wei gain some temporary stat boosts like increased attack and defense, as well as taking less damage from enemies. The effectiveness of all food and drinks can be increased by acquiring certain perks and extend stat improvements. All can be found dotted on almost every street, so keep an eye out and consume as much as you can for the foodie achievement and/or trophy. The streets may be dangerous, but well worth the trouble for tasty local cuisine. Dynasty Warriors Series. A subset of the Battlefield items category, food in Dynasty Warriors provides valuable respite from the heat of battle. While the options are limited, the food you can find is textured to look beautiful and quite frankly, pretty damn delicious. With fresh fruit in the form of peaches and mystic counterparts, and steaming meat buns that look as though you could reach in and pick them up. The foods in this game are incredible. If you're particularly lucky, you may find a whole chicken or a special meat bun, which will restore you to full health. Wine jugs are another consumable, with all the variants restoring differing amounts of muso. If you're feeling a bit cavemanish, you may just come across a Flintstone-style meat chunk with bones sticking out on either side. All edibles you find help restore your health and muso, so they can be incredibly helpful in a pinch as well.
This is the perfect meat bun. That tiger took it!
Dishonored. Food in Dishonored provides only small boosts to Corvo, but what it lacks in effect, it makes up for in aesthetics. Contrasting with the bleak and dreary world you find yourself in, foods in Dishonored range from the gross to the gourmet. There's an alarming amount of canned fish throughout, but what else can you expect from the portside town of Dunwall? The real standouts though are the apricot tarts and the fresh fruits, such as Tyvian pears, Sakonan grapes and Morley apples, which are delightful little treats to come across, unless they're rotten. Sometimes, however, the most disgusting foods are the most helpful. Blue-chawed hagfish eggs certainly sound like one of the most unappealing things you could ever eat, but they give a considerably larger boost to health if you are affected by the healthy appetite status changes. In the end, it comes down to one simple thing. Sometimes, you need to be a little cruel to be kind. Saints Row 2. Stillwater City, like any major hub, is filled to the brim with consumables. Each type provides varying types of nourishment that not only replenishes health, but also provides stat boosts, immunities, and weaknesses if you're not careful. As can be expected, most foods take on the form of multicultural styles you'd find in any cityscape, such as notable Asian dishes like egg rolls, some young guy and some old guy, Middle Eastern cuisine including kebabs and the Lil Gyro, and good old-fashioned American artery cloggers like donuts, chicken bazoom and the infamous fist burger. Don't forget the wide selection of teas, sodas and alcoholic beverages to wash that down with. I hear the cognac is exquisite.
That's what I like. Woo! Alright!
South Park: The Stick of Truth. After a couple encounters in the fantasy realm of South Park, it's a necessity to get a hold of as many consumables as possible. There are 5 kinds of items with different effects on the party: health, mana, power, status effect, and speed potions. Random assortments of snacks and foods such as cheesy poofs, sugar packets, chocolate, and chips ahoy will restore varying amounts of health depending on their size, while the taco will completely revive a fallen party member. Soda and Red Bull's energy drinks will restore power points, while mana potions are foods notorious for giving you gas, such as apple juice, cauliflower, General Tso's chicken, Chipotle burritos, Shitty Walk takeout, and most importantly, beans. Water can cure negative status effects, and consuming Weight Gain 4000 builds your attack and defense points. Consuming caffeine leaves you bristling with energy, multiplying your speed, so get yourself some Rare Blend or Tweak Bros for that extra kick. Don't get distracted by your snacking. This is a very serious game.
Dead Rising 2. It's hard to build up an appetite amongst decaying hordes of zombies, especially when they're trying to make you a tasty meal of their own. After a day of slicing, dicing, and eviscerating, however, Chuck may not always be in the best of health. Luckily, there's a ton of tasty treats around Fortune City to feast on. Everything from bacon, chicken, brownies, jelly beans, fish, and pies to the drink selection, which is none too shabby either. The most satisfying replenishers are the steak and lobster, although beware the spoiled counterparts of various items you can scavenge from trash cans, unless you have no other choice. The outbreak couldn't have happened anywhere better, with all the food stalls in the area. But don't get too comfortable. The only thing that outnumbers the food pickups in this game are the zombies themselves.
Elder Scrolls 4: Oblivion. Bethesda games are well known for the rich worlds they create, and in these worlds, food plays an important role in creating the immersion the company is so well known for. Oblivion is no exception, with the many different ways to forage and hunt for food making for quite the culinary experience.
Hungry? Thirsty? I can help with that.
While there are people who criticize this title's lack of the excess in terms of options, it cannot be said that Oblivion is devoid of them. From radishes to pears, carrots to leeks, pumpkins to jumbo potatoes, there are many foods to keep your character sustained and make you wish you had a veggie garden out back.
A little food and drink will do you some good.
Feeling a little more excitable? No problem. Hunting is easy if you have the tools, and you can end up with venison and boar meat if you're skilled enough to make the kills. If you're looking for something a little more complex, there's shepherd pie and sweet rolls, the latter of which having become an iconic staple in the Elder Scrolls universe.
Need a bite to eat? Maybe something to wash it down with?
That's not to exclude some of the drinks, of course. Argonian blood wine and Shadow Banished wine will leave you wondering just how such beverages would taste. Some of these recipes are tempting enough to try them out in your own kitchen. Jira's famous potato bread being a notable example. Oblivion is absolutely full of food, so when you get the chance to kick back, put your feet up, and stop fighting Daedra for a couple of minutes, it's certainly worth chowing down on some of those tasty treats to pass the time. Or, if you want to chow down on 50 cheese wheels in the heat of battle, you do you.
A little food and drink will do you some good. I appreciate your business.
Fallout 3 in New Vegas. In the post-nuclear wasteland that was once the United States of America, it goes without saying that you're going to need food to boost your health and mitigate the ill effects you will encounter. For the most part, there are essentially two types of food in Fallout 3 in New Vegas: pre-war foods and harvested foods. Most pre-war leftovers are fairly dubious, with names that carry connotations of general unhealthiness and a buttload of preservatives. The options, if you're feeling optimistic about eating potentially radioactive foods, range from sugar bombs to cram, Blanco mac and cheese to Dandy Boy apples, fancy lad snack cakes, and the ever-popular Nuka-Cola. However, if you're looking to test your luck in the present-day world, there's a wide range of consumables to choose from. Many foods can be gleaned from the corpses of the creatures that you kill, including Mirelurk cakes, iguana bits, crispy squirrel bits, Yao Guai meat, mole rat meat, and even human flesh, if you're into that. If you're not a fan of corpse scavenging, you can collect mudfruit, maize, Nevada agave fruit, fresh apples, and wild punga fruit. All available consumables will cause a variety of status effects and health benefits or losses, and possible radiation reduction or increase. If you manage to acquire the food sanitizer, the benefits of food may be altered as they are purified. Staying alive in the wasteland is hard work, but with all the options available, you can manage to carry yourself through on a full stomach, no matter what that stomach is full of. The Elder Scrolls V: Skyrim. Skyrim expanded upon the food mechanics of previous Elder Scrolls games in an enormous way. Much as in the previous games, you can get foods from either stores around Skyrim, or you can hunt the food from wild animals, along with harvesting crops from farms and gardens.
Got some fresh baked bread and good cheese if you're after a bite to eat.
But in Skyrim, a new mechanic was added to allow the player to be able to cook. This allows the player character to be able to create meals and cook foods, which will then give you higher health boosts when consumed. Drinks like meat and wine in the game also work to boost your stamina, which come in handy in a pinch. But, much as in the preceding Elder Scrolls games, food itself is fairly underused, and is certainly overshadowed by potion and alchemy system. Food and drink can be useful if you're in the middle of fighting off some dragon that's raining hellfire down upon you, when you run out of potions and need a little boost to your health or stamina. The best thing to do in such situation is to smash the use item button on those foods, and pray to God that you don't get incinerated. Food and drinks aren't completely necessary, unless of course you get the urge to terrify NPCs by downing 70 cheese wheels in front of them. While they may not react, the mental image alone is enough to produce a good chuckle from the Dragonborn.
Drink for the thirsty, food for the hungry.
Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Food consumption in San Andreas not only affects your health, but your physical appearance. You have a plethora of high-class restaurants, from the fine dining experience of Cluck & Bell to the gourmet food of Well-Stacked Pizza Corporation. Eating almost anything sends the protagonist CJ's weight in an upward direction. As you consume more and grow larger, CJ will say things like,
"I'd rather do a drive-thru than a drive-by,"
or,
"You put me off the thought of food."
If the player eats more than 10 meals in a sitting, CJ will throw up and be unable to eat any more food until the next day. Another dynamic of the weight system is that it can affect the way potential girlfriends view CJ. Barbara will only date CJ if his fat level is high, whilst Katie will only date CJ if he has high muscle.
Munch your way to bliss, sir!
After not eating for an extended period, CJ will begin to starve and lose weight. When CJ is starving, he will slowly lose health. If a player does not wish to gain weight, but does want to stop starving, they can eat a salad which makes CJ full, but does not add any additional fat to him.
Hope you choke-a-doodle-doo. If you come back, you're a moron.
One rumor about the fat system in San Andreas is the heart attack. A message early on in the game claims that if CJ becomes too fat, he runs the risk of having a heart attack. Sadly, this seems to either be a removed mechanic, with the warning accidentally left in, or a joking message that the developers added into the game. Some still speculate this day about the heart attack mechanic, but many can personally assure you it does not exist, with over 500 hours of gameplay to prove it.
Don't choke on the bone fragments.
Bioshock Series. In the bleak and oppressive world of the Bioshock games, It is no surprise that you're not going to be offered the fare of kings in your travels. The food and drinks available, however, do provide you with necessary boosts and a variety of status changes that can either help or hinder you depending on what you decide to munch on. One of the staples of the Bioshock universe is alcohol, because how are you meant to get through the worst of humanity without a little tipple? Among the available beverages are Arcadia Merlot, Old Tom Whiskey, Moonshine, Flask of Unknown Booze and, for a real kick in the head, Moonbeam Absinthe. All alcohol will restore health, but will drain your Eve, and sometimes will leave your vision blurred. In terms of food, initial pickings were slim. Pet bars, creme-filled cakes and potato chips were the only offerings in the first game. In Bioshock 2, however, this was expanded to include some canned goods, and in Bioshock Infinite, you can find some fresh fruits and other food, such as hot dogs and jars of pickles. Each game's consumables reflect the environment each character finds themselves in, and usually an awful lot of rummaging in trash cans has to occur in order to find food. Food, for the most part, replenishes health as well, but not too much. Honestly, if the idea of sticking your hand into the garbage repulses you, you're better off finding a health station.
Metal Gear Solid 3: Snake Eater. As far as food goes, Snake Eater has the mother load. As part of the survival aspect, Naked Snake must harvest resources from the environment around him, including consumables ranging from fungi, fruit, and animals. Failure to do so will result in an angry tummy growl that may alert enemies, and poor performance such as sluggish movement and shaky hands. And since there's a lot of ground to cover in the Russian jungle, there's a lot of food to find and no shortage on nifty ways they can be utilized in your sneaking mission. The mushrooms can either poison or knock out enemies, with one even able to replenish the batteries for your equipment, or can be used to absorb electricity. Fruit is often tasty to Snake, but not all animals should be eaten. Some types of snakes, spiders, and frogs can be very poisonous, but most birds just taste terrible. You can also loot enemy storage buildings and eat the terrible Russian rations, or taste the exceptional noodles in Calorie Mate. Flying squirrels, bats, rats, vultures, rabbits, crocodiles. You can even eat the End's parrot. Even a hornet's nest that you can catch actual hornets in can all be consumed if the mood strikes you. The best commentary on the food comes from Snake himself, who doesn't hold back his liking or disgust for the meal. And Paramedic is always on hand to provide some insight into whatever you've grabbed for your inventory. There is way too much for us to explain, so give it a go for yourself. Just remember, you have a mission to get to. Maybe after you catch a Tsuchinoko.
The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Whilst on a mission to save the beautiful land of Hyrule and fulfill Princess Zelda's quests, there's only one main thing to do. That one thing is to get hopelessly sidetracked and begin doing literally anything but the main quest, including standing in front of an iron pot for hours of real time, trying to figure out every possible combination of random ingredients. This is, of course, because the food in Breath of the Wild looks and, presumably tastes, absolutely delicious. Being that the game is open world, you can even use your food the way you want, with vegetarian, meat and fish options all available for the player to utilise. Food gives a variety of status alterations, from stamina wheel boosts to speed increases and even the benefit of extra hearts. Some of the dishes available for cooking include salmon risotto, salt grilled mushrooms, fried egg and rice, meaty rice balls, meat stuffed pumpkin, meat and seafood fry, apple pie, and honey fruits. The best thing about food in Breath of the Wild, however, is the tense moment when everything has been tossed into the pot and the jangling tune starts up just before your meal is revealed. Let's all just hope it isn't another plate of dubious or rock-hard food.
Final Fantasy 15. Once in a while, a game comes along where the food is so perfect, so beautiful, so damn attractive that it makes you want to claw your way through the screen you're playing it on and stuff it in your face. Final Fantasy 15 is that game, and it completely delivers in the delicious food department. When your party sits down to rest, you're given the option to cook food at camp, with more menu items opening up as you progress through the game. Every single piece of the food looks absolutely exquisite, down to the steam that comes off the dishes. Some particular standouts include the creamy bisque, Tide grouper garbaggio, plump and pungent tofu, memory lane pastry, tamale-filled dumplings, and the packed mushroom stew.
Bon appetit.
Many of the recipes incorporate things that you may have managed to forage around the world, adding to the real sense of accomplishment when they're made. And as with most games, the food in Final Fantasy 15 provides certain benefits depending on the dish, and certain characters will enjoy certain dishes more than others. Ignis, the resident cook in the group, will learn a variety of recipes from many different places, such as restaurant menus, posters, and signs with food on them. And, of course, watching other characters in the game eat foods. While there's lots of twists and turns that happen in this game, one thing can be assured, and that's whenever Ignis clicks his fingers, you're certainly in for a treat.
Monster Hunter World. Exploring the new world builds a big appetite for adventure, and maybe after taking down a dinosaur or dragon, even veteran hunters need to take 5 for lunch. Consumables work in several ways within Monster Hunter, all helping you to survive against all manner of indigenous life you discover. In the field, there's a fair few herb and honey sources you can use to make healing potions, or else you can slurp down a bitter bug for quick relief. Antidotes can be crafted with the proper plant and a blue mushroom, and both can even be ground down into powder with the right bug in your inventory. Many of these ingredients are also useful in modifying the ammunition for your sling, but can also be used to help you capture monsters directly. Applying a sleeping herb to raw meat makes it the perfect trap to snare your own monster out in the field, or else you can keep the raw meat for yourself and cook it to perfection once you get your timing right. If, however, you find yourself at the canteen, you can order several mouth-watering dishes prepared fresh by top feline chefs. These meals will provide status boosts that vary depending on the type of meats, fish, and vegetables ordered and their quantities. You can acquire more benefits by leveling up your food skills and completing side quests that reward you for new dishes to try out. If you're overeager, you can get your food to go. But make sure your tasty meal isn't discovered by an equally ravenous monster.